and every week we see this. I got the morning glory climbing all over the hedge, and either I try to take it off or our kids try to take it off. But when you advertise your company and say that you're a maintenance company, and yet all you do is cut grass, and then you leave all the weeds all over the shrubs to kill the shrubs, and you leave, weeds in the garden and make the garden look awful, that is not really a maintenance account unless you sign up and say you are a maintenance lawn, or you're like a lawn maintenance company. But to advertise and say you're a maintenance company, and you tend to either forget to pull all the weeds, or you don't bother pulling the weeds, because some companies, when they have lawn maintenance, all they really do is lawns, and that's all they have time for, is to cut lawns, but they don't have any extra time to pull the weeds. So at that stage, either you should be changing your name to lawn maintenance, or hire someone to help you do some of the garden maintenance, because when you advertise garden maintenance, a lot of customers feel like they're getting maintenance on the whole garden. They're getting the whole package. They're getting weeds pulled. They're getting weeds pulled off your your hedges or your trees, so that way they don't kill the plants by the end of the summertime, and then you do your lawns. But if you can only choose one or the other, you should either be doing lawn maintenance and the whole package, or you should be doing just lawn maintenance period, and all you do is cut lawns. Like, I cut lawns before for a company, and all we did was lawn maintenance, and we went in there, cut the lawn, edged the lawn, blew the property, and took off. And half of her clients complained to me and the other employees all the time about how we never stayed there and we never even pull one weed off the property. And there's some gardens that had weeds that were this tall because we never touched one of them, because we never had time to touch any of them. But yet our boss never wanted to change her her name on the company, saying we were just lawn maintenance. She still somehow felt like at some point we would have time to go and pull the weeds, which we never did. So it's a good example for hiring landscapers. If you hire someone and they say they're garden maintenance, you better make sure that they are garden maintenance. And that's everything from lawn cutting, blowing the property, pulling the weeds, pruning, all that stuff included. And if all they want to do is cut the grass, they are not a garden maintenance, they are a lawn care. So hopefully that helped you out for hiring someone, or let us know, because we do garden maintenance ourselves and we're just starting to do lawns. So check us out. The other thing I wanted to mention too on lawn maintenance is, I know there's like people sign contracts per year on lawn maintenance, which means like you'll end up cutting like someone's lawn, whatever it is, 15, 20, 25 times per year. And I see, every time I drop our son off at daycare, I see these guys cutting the grass near the daycare school, and the grass is already that short, and they got a crew of 2 or 3 people on one small property doing what? I can guarantee you, you're probably, after you're done pushing that lawnmower, you probably don't have any grass sitting in that bucket on the back of the lawnmower, because the grass is already that short. So lawn maintenance it's funny, because like you could be cutting someone's lawn like once a week or once every 2 weeks, and yet you're not taking any grass off the property. And some companies actually charge for a dump fee. So what are you actually paying for? If there's no grass to cut and you're pushing your lawnmower over a lawn for no reason, that homeowner is paying you to come there every week or every 2 weeks to cut a grass when you have no grass to cut. And then they're paying you $20 or whatever it is every time to take the green waste away and dump the green waste for you. And yet they're not taking any green waste away because there's no grass to cut. So you're paying for lawn maintenance and you're paying for a dump fee. So both of them, they're not taking anything off your property. They're not taking grass off the property most of the time, and they're not really cutting anything. They're just pushing a lawnmower over top of short grass that's that short, and all it is killing the grass. Because like when you got a drought, especially in Vancouver, the city always tells you to leave your lawn at least about that long if you want it to stay green throughout the summertime. When you got lawns cut down to a putting green, or even some people like their lawns cut down to maybe like like an inch or two, that lawn goes brown within 2 or 3 weeks, because there's no like there's no coverage. Like when you got a thick lawn, that lawn covers the ground, so the ground doesn't dry out being exposed to the sun. But when you got a lawn like this, when the lawn is already that short, you know, you can see the dirt. That dirt is going to dry out within the, you know, the first 3, 4, 5 days of full hot sun. And when you got a lawn that's a thick lawn and it's about that long, you know, you got that coverage, so that lawn is covering the soil, so that way the soil doesn't dry out as much. If there's any moisture at nighttime, like overnight, that, you know, the grass collects that moisture and it stays moist. So you get a longer growing kind of grass throughout the summertime. And having grass that long is not really like all that bad either. It's, you know, you don't trip on it. You know, the kids can still play on it perfectly fine. It doesn't make it look messy. And second, the best thing out of all of it is that the grass stays somewhat green throughout the summertime when everyone else's grass is dying because it's cut down to like a putting green. So keep your grass long. If you are going to be hiring anyone for lawn maintenance, not garden maintenance, you know, make sure that, you know, you figure out how often that person's going to be showing up on your lawn. And if you know that your lawn dries out over the summertime, I'd be making some kind of agreement saying that, you know, if there's nothing there to cut, you know, you shouldn't be paying for lawn maintenance when there's no work to be done. So careful when you hire someone for lawn maintenance. You don't want some guy pushing a lawnmower over top of dead grass and then saying, okay, I need a paycheck, because there's no work, you know, being done. But if you leave your long grass, if you leave your grass long, then, you know, of course there's a reason for them to come back every week, cut the grass every week, you know, down to about, you know, that height, still have a nice dark green lawn when everything else is dying. Is well worth the lawn maintenance.